What's up guys, SkyKevin here, and today we're going to be talking about everything to do with a poaching hut, including how it works, the functionality, and some suggestions on uses and possible changes in the future. So, let's get started. The poaching hut was recently added to help counter the large clans that owned multiple proxies on a tile. In essence, it stops any tax revenue from the owning clan within a relatively small area on the map, centered around the poaching hut. The huts themselves have a large no-build radius, so they can't be enclosed and must be well hidden on the map. In terms of resource cost, they take 300 wood, 80 animal fat, 40 nomad cloth, and 20 pearls to make. This is something completely farmable on a medium tile, and the recipe itself only costs 4 tablets to unlock. When the poaching hut was first released, it had a larger area than it covered, but that has since been nerfed down to a much smaller one. The area now, as of making this video, is approximately a 1 grid length radius. By doing some testing with a friend, we checked where the gathered resources would be when collected into the hut on both the X and Y axis, and were able to draw out this circle. We also tested the corners to make sure that it wasn't a full square shape or anything like that. So technically speaking, seeing as we can assume that it's a perfect circle, the total area in this case of a poaching hut would be 3.14 grids, or pi. When gathering in the radius of this hut, you will be able to see the resources going up instantly, and seeing that it collects about 10% on average of the resources gathered at the same time as a proxy walker would. Now, note that this works even if there is no tile owner. The hut itself has a total of 20 slots, in which it can gather resources in stacks of 2,000 per slot. If all the slots are full, it will not collect the resource any further. For comparison's sake, a proxy walker works basically the same way, but has 30 slots in total, and the resources stack to 3,000 per item. This might not seem like much of a difference, but since these can also collect items like modules, you'll find the poaching hut has a lot of trouble getting those rare types of resources. When it comes to the amount of resources you get, I generally find that the basic resources like wood, fiber, and stone tend to fill up much faster than the others. And of course, this depends on where you place the hut. For this reason, it's usually a good idea to seed the slots by putting one type of that resource in the slot as a placeholder until the others fill up. When building the poaching hut, you definitely want to have it as well hidden as you can. A few options are usually under or around rocky areas, or if you can find a thicket of bushes, it fits right in, seeing as it has some natural camouflage available to it as part of the mesh. There is a sizable no build radius around the hut as well, so chances are you won't be able to enclose it in any base materials. I haven't tested how difficult it would be to enclose, but chances are the resources required wouldn't really be worth it, since you need to place a lot of them on a map to have good coverage. It would probably take too many resources to be profitable in most areas. When trying to find an enemy poaching hut on a tile that you own, I've found it's quite difficult in most circumstances. It's definitely something that you have to keep on top of, as if you get too many, it becomes even more difficult to triangulate the position of each hut relative to where you're gathering. Generally, my method for finding them is to have an ally watch the proxy walker and communicate with them while I collect specific resources. Once I've found the edge of a circle, I try to find the X and Y points of that circle to estimate in which direction the ring of influence covers, and then travel around to that circle. The most difficult part about finding it is if you don't know where the center point is located, you can end up walking right past it. So you need to test the points around the edge that you collect on to estimate where the hut is located. With a little luck, you'll usually find them hiding in cracks and corners around the map. I think the changes to nerf the poaching hut area were definitely a good choice, as it's a pretty fair area of influence between them. That being said, I think there definitely needs to be some sort of auditory cue in order to find them. For instance, if you got within a 10-meter range of the hut, perhaps it lets off a faint glowing sound, or even the sound of rustling bushes, or something that fits it thematically. That way, if you get into a moderate range, it can be found despite being hidden behind other solid objects. One question I had when first testing out these buildings was simply, is it worth it? It costs a few resources, and they generally need to be visited at least once per day, else it fills up too quickly. Most of the time, they're just basic resources, so they're great if you want to restock a base. Otherwise, I found it's also very useful to bring resources to the local trade station and sell them back to the residents to generate some flots. Indeed, if you want to take a look around on many of the North American servers, I try to have trade orders in many of the different tiles. Luckily, since the items now transfer over to the next station on a burn, you're more or less banking those items for later, with the added benefit that if someone does buy something, you're also profiting as well. My strategy now is usually to farm the resources required to make 10 to 12 poaching huts and bring that to my targeted server the day that the server spawns. This ensures that you get the most time out of your investment for the days that you're collecting resources. Sometimes, players will come across your hut and destroy it, and other times, they might just damage it and unlock it until they take all the resources inside for themselves. In the ones that I placed down, I had about 4 stay up for the entire tile's duration, 2 were destroyed, and 2 were unlocked, but left alive. Once the tile reaches the final day, it's best to go around and do one more collection as well as disassembling your existing poaching huts for 50% of the resources back. Overall, I like the idea of poaching huts, and it definitely gives the players on an enemy tile the ability to farm without benefiting that enemy clan. They are definitely more like personal collectors though for individuals, as I find they don't hold much in terms of a steady supply of resources. However, if you're planning to live on the tile, but still looking to mess with the owning clan, this is a moderately profitable way to do so. Further, if your base is located by a popular destination, like a cattail pond, you can constantly keep it emptied to be able to loot additional rare items like modules. For now though, I just treat it like a self-sufficient way of making some extra flots on the side, but it really is up to whether you want to build a poaching hunt empire on another clan's tile and how you keep them all organized. Let me know what your thoughts are on poaching huts and whether your clan has found them difficult to deal with or useful to use at their disposal. As always, I'm making more videos on Last Oasis and other MMOs, so don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.